Hi, everyone, on a hot and warm and sunny afternoon here in Denver, Colorado. Welcome to Broncos Stadium at Mile High for this Raiders-Denver Broncos matchup. Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Bruce Arians, and Melanie Collins. We're glad to have you on this doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. We're about set for the kickoff. Denver has won the toss, and they have deferred, which means they will kick it away to the Oakland Raiders. That is number 30, standing deep, Jalen Richard. As the Raiders come in at 0-1, the Broncos at 1-0, and Oakland looking for win number 1 for their new former head coach John Gruden. We're underway, and this will sail out of the end zone. So we'll start at the 25-yard line, and here comes Derek Carr. Both quarterbacks will be wearing number 4 this afternoon. Carr trying to come off of a performance against the Rams opening night, during which he threw for 303 yards, no touchdowns, and threw 3 picks. Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, and the place gets noisy quickly. Lynch for about 6 yards to the 31-yard line.
Well, Greg, I think that's what they're going to want to try and do with the size of the offensive line, is run that ball between the tackles, get the size of that line, pushing the Denver interior part of their line, and get Marshawn going as we take a look at the offensive line up there at the bottom of the screen.
Carr on the move, wide open, across midfield. The catch is made at about the 47-yard line.
Yeah, great play action right there, Trent. Derek Carr getting out of the pocket. Nice play down the field. Excellent start to this game for the Raider offense.
Jordy Nelson, the former Green Bay Packer, now in his first year with the Oakland Raiders, found himself open across midfield.
Well, and as important as anything is getting the ball to the wide receivers. A week ago, the focus of their pass game was tight ends and running backs. Wide receivers weren't involved much at all. Jordy Nelson with the big catch early.
What's up? Carr throwing, and out of the backfield it's Keith Smith, the fullback. On Oakland's opening drive in their first game, they scored a touchdown. We are just underway in the first quarter, and the Oakland Raiders have taken the ball from their own 25-yard line and moved it down now inside the Denver 40. 2 tight ends and Lynch in the backfield. Lynch for the first down and more. Inside the 30, he is tripped up at about the 29-yard line by Darian Stewart.
And talking to John Gruden yesterday, they were talking about putting Jared Cook wide and Martavius Bryant to change up the coverage to help their weak side running game. And so far, so good for the Raiders.
Well, and I think that was important to see what Denver's adjustment was going to be. Jared Cook split out wide to the bottom of the screen. They put a corner on him. They didn't run a safety or a linebacker out there. They put a corner on him. Then all of a sudden they ran the ball inside with those safeties deep, with some help there for Roby on that near sideline.
Doug Martin in at the running back position for the Raiders. And we have penalty markers. Our referee today is John Hussey.
12 men on defense in formation. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Raiders doing a good job of changing substitution patterns with different personnel groups. Caught those guys in nickel when they were supposed to be in base.
So it's a 1st and 5. Quick pass to the outside. That's complete to Seth Roberts. And Roberts has a first down to about the 12 or 13. Those of you just joining us here in Denver, we welcome you. The Oakland Raiders have taken the opening kickoff from their own 25-yard line and have moved it down now to about the 11 of the Broncos. It is first down just outside the 10-yard line. Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Bruce Arians, and Melanie Collins. We're glad you're joining us on this doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. Carr gives to Martin. Martin pulls his way for a few to about the 8. Darian Stewart, Brandon Marshall combine for the tackle. And as we mentioned a short while ago, the Raiders scored a touchdown on their first drive in their loss to the Rams.
Yeah, John Gruden is one of those guys who scripts those first 15 plays, and he's got a heck of a script again on this week, just like he did last week.
Well, the problem a week ago wasn't the opening drive or even the first half for that matter. It was what they did in the second half or what they didn't do in the second half.
Marshawn Lynch is in the lineup and split left. Carr over the middle to about the 5. And that's the tight end, Jared Cook, who had such a huge game in the opener.
I don't know if you can have tighter coverage than what the Broncos had right here. I even thought maybe there would be a pass interference there. It was Davis who's all wrapped around him, and how Cook was able to bring that in, that's some strong hands.
You catch 9 or 10 passes the week before, he'll throw it to you when you're covered. You know what I mean? Yeah. The Broncos had him dead covered, and just a heck of a catch.
Cook caught 9 balls for 160 yards in the opener. 7 of the 9 were for first down. And Carr walks off the field as the Broncos take a timeout. Use their first with 10:21 to play here in the first quarter.
First, charge timeout. Denver, this will be a 30-second timeout.
All right, well, let's talk about what your game plan is for this afternoon, Coach.
Well, it's already started. You know, for the Raiders, you got to run the football and stay out of 3rd and long and away from that Denver pass rush. And defensively, they got to create a pass rush. Bruce Irvin, Arden Key versus those tackles from Denver. And then for Denver, feed the dynamic duo. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders lead the league for the last 4 years in combination yards. And get turnovers. They've won 32 straight games when they win the turnover battle.
Coach, based on what the Raiders did last snap, they had Cook lined up here to the right. Now they switch them over to the left, trying to create some space. With Lynch in the backfield, do you expand everybody and try and get that quick hitter up the middle?
I think they're going to try a little play action, a little pop over there to Cook.
Carr on the move. This is Lynch. And Lynch, that's going to lose some yardage. It will back them up to about the 8 or 9 yard line.
Well, I think Carr got off of that read a little bit too fast. I think he was trying to find Cook initially, but had he waited and gone to that second progression of Derek Carrier, he was right at the goal line there. He kind of got the pivot route and put it on him, but he was so dialed in on Cook that after he got off of that, then he decided to roll right, and not much there.
There's one thing to keep in mind here with the field goal attempt upcoming. The Oakland Raiders have a new long snapper, Trent Sieg, after last week's injury to the regular long snapper, Andrew DePaulo.
I think that's one of the things with Derek Carr too, Trent. I think he gets off things too quick. He doesn't sit in there and let it develop, you know what I mean?
The field goal is good. The Raiders are in the lead. John Gruden wanted more than 3. About 9.5 to play in the first quarter. 3-0 Oakland. We're all a piece of trivia. This happens to be the hottest game in Denver. Denver has won the previous 5 warm games. This one's just a degree warmer than the other hot ones.
We already know coming into Denver you're going to have to stay hydrated because of the elevation. Now you add the heat to it, it just adds another element to this game for the Raiders.
This one sails out of the end zone. Let's go downstairs. Melanie Collins.
Well, Greg, 92 degrees in Denver today, but down here on the field, the real feel is about 110 degrees, so hydration is going to be extremely important for both these teams today. The other thing to keep in mind is the altitude. The Raiders came in late last night, which leaves them very little time to acclimate to the altitude. Look for the Broncos to go up-tempo early and try and wear these guys out on a short week.
Yeah, Melanie, but numbers are just numbers. Does it feel like 100 down there?
I can attest. I wouldn't say it feels 110. I'd say more like 105, but, you know, apples, apples.
Royce Freeman in the backfield as the Broncos start their first offensive series of the day, and this is Freeman. And he is going to lose yardage on the play courtesy of Bruce Irvin. There's Case Keenum. New start here, and boy, is he happy being the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
Well, he is, and as you saw by those numbers, it wasn't exactly perfect. He had the 3 interceptions, but what I loved about it is he was resilient. He stuck with what he believed in. He had the confidence, and in the fourth quarter when they needed to thread the needle, he got the touchdown pass to get him the win.
Philip Lindsay into the lineup now in the backfield on 2nd and 11. Lindsay squeezes through to the 30-yard line, and it'll be a 3rd and 5. You'll be taking a look at the Denver offense at the bottom of your screen. That is an awfully talented offensive line, as it usually is in Denver country.
Well, and what they've traditionally done is they run that zone blocking scheme, and you want your back to basically take one cut and go and read what they're doing up front. They had some success a week ago. Lindsay and Freeman, both rookies, had 71 yards rushing. First 2 plays, they each get 1 carry.
Devontae Booker in the backfield now, 3rd and 5. On the slant, incomplete, in and out of the arms of Cortland Sutton, the rookie from SMU.
Little change up for the Raiders. They blitzed like crazy on the first down. They sat back a lot last week. They came after Case Keenum. He's got to make that throw, Trent. That's an easy slant.
You know, that's why I'm laughing about it, Coach, because Paul Gunther, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders, how sick do you think he was all week of hearing about no pressure, no pressure, no pressure? So what's he do? The first 3rd down, he brings the house.
Jordy Nelson is deep at the 25-yard line for this punt. By the way, the only team that went without a three and out in week 1 were the Broncos. Get it on the first series. Nelson with the fair catch at about the 23-yard line. And with that, we'll take a break with 8:04 to play in the first. 3-0 Oakland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. Sonic, this is how you Sonic. And by Hyundai, official sponsor of the NFL.
That was a look at the Colorado State Capitol building, which opened in 1894, and that 15th step outside the building marks the 1 mile above sea level mark. From the shotgun, Derek Carr has all kinds of time running out of it now. The ball is loose. Belongs to the Broncos. Domata Peko with the recover, and Von Miller with the hit.
Well, that's the problem when you're facing this Denver defense, is you can't hang on to the ball as long as Derek Carr did. He was trying to get Amari Cooper down the middle of the field, and when you hang on to the ball that long.
Holding, defense, number 51, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, that's why you're hanging on to the ball. You're trying to get some separation.
And they're holding your guy.
Right.
And but yeah, Derek Carr cannot hold it on the belt, even with that penalty. He didn't know there was a penalty. He's got to get that ball out of his hands.
That holding penalty is on Todd Davis of the Broncos. It will negate the recovery.
It's like
and it's a first down for the Raiders.
We talked earlier, Trent, about him getting out too quick. There's a fine line with holding too long, too.
Especially 58 on that edge.
Marshawn Lynch stood up at the 30-yard line. It's time for an update. Let's get you to New York. JB and Coach Cowher.
Vikings had trailed by 13, forced overtime.
And Daniel Carlson with 4 seconds left in the game, 35-yarder miss. And he missed 3 field goals on the day. They ended in a tie. The last time ties ended in the first 2 weeks of the season, 1971.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
Gee, I wonder what that other tie was. We were there in Cleveland last week. Steelers and the Browns finished up tied at 21. 2nd and 10. Lynch trying to turn the corner. And he's run out of bounds very close to the line of scrimmage by Davis and by Brandon Marshall.
This is down distance they want to stay out of. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. This is playing right into Denver's hands.
Well, this is if you're Carr, you have to make sure you get through your progression quickly, get the ball out of your hands, because Denver knows it's a passing situation.
Carr over the middle and complete. Jordy Nelson on the slant, too high for him, and the Raiders will kick it away.
You see how they overloaded one side, Denver did? They brought all that pressure from the left side, dropped out on the right side. Everybody comes in from the left, and you got Von Miller and Shane Ray over on your right. They normally are the pass rushers, right? They drop back into coverage. They overloaded one side, made Derek Carr get rid of the ball quickly.
Talking to John Gruden yesterday, he was worried more about their blitz schemes than just one or two guys.
Adam Jones, 5 career punt return touchdowns to his credit. We'll watch this one sail out of bounds, short of the 20-yard line. Coming up, Case Keenum and company taking the field once again as the Broncos trail 3-0. Hey, Tuesday, September the 25th on CBS, from Dick Wolf, executive producer of Law & Order, comes the new drama FBI. That premieres Tuesday, September 25th on CBS. So the Broncos from their own 25-yard line with just under 6.5 to play in the first quarter. Keenum looks right, avoids the pressure, throws to the sideline. Sent it to Freeman once again. Back to New York once again, JB and Coach.
The touchdown drive by Jacksonville.
Yeah, Blake Bortles will find Dante Moncrief 4 yards out. They'll take a 7-0 lead in this rematch of last year's AFC Championship game.
All right, Greg, I'll try this once. Greg, Trent, Bruce, and Melanie.
Come on, JB, you know you're reading it off a card. 2nd and 10.
On express. Down, set.
This is Freeman. And they were waiting for him. Royce Freeman, the 3rd-round draft pick out of Oregon.
You got to be impressed with Oakland's defensive line. These guys just showed up 2 days ago, and they're stuffing the run.
That was the view Royce Freeman had. 3rd and 9 now. Quick pass to the outside. That is complete. And across the 30 and close to a first down is the tight end, Jake Butt. He's going to be about a yard short, and they will kick it away.
Yeah, Paul Gunther is known for that double-A gap blitz. He studied under Mike Zimmer, who's the best there is. And one of the things most offenses do when you see double-A gap in a weak safety down, they throw that quick screen out to the flat, and they almost got the first down.
Well, and that's 2 third downs now in a row. Talking about pressure from a week ago, or the lack of pressure that the Raiders had against the Rams. Now 2 third downs in a row, they've brought pressure.
Jordy Nelson once again, he'll let this one sail over his head and into the end zone for the touchback. So we're a tick under 5 minutes remaining in the first half. A field goal, the only difference in favor of the Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network.
That's Cherry Creek Reservoir, about 20 minutes away from the stadium. One of the popular places in Denver, with the heat being what it has been here in Denver. Doug Martin in the backfield with Derek Carr, first down from the 20-yard line. Martin falls forward to the 21. And we go downstairs to Melanie.
Greg Domata-Peko came off the field after that fumble recovery that was then negated. He went into the medical tent. They were evaluating him for a concussion. He spent about 5 minutes in there, walked out saying, "I'm good." He cleared concussion protocol, and he's back on the field.
Thank you, Melanie. Probably the happiest guy we'll talk to all season. Carr got rid of it. Flag is thrown. Doug Martin, the receiver, and Peko was there.
I think they may get old linemen downfield, don't you think, Coach?
Yeah, it looks like they had a guard way down the field, but one thing about Dominic Peko, he's the best screen runner, a reader. And then in the NFL, we tried to throw screens against him for 10 years, and he'd always be standing out there holding on to the running back.
Here's John Hussey.
An eligible man downfield on the offense, number 66. That penalty is declined. Third down.
So let's take a look at Domata Peko again.
Watch his closing speed. For a man 330 to be able to move like that, it's outstanding. That's why he's such a matchup nightmare.
Yeah, he's the screen killer in that defense.
So here's a 3rd and 9. Play clock down to 3, down to 2. They get the snap off, they give it to Martin, and Martin out across the 25 to about the 27, but not enough for a first down.
Yeah, the Raiders the Broncos showed the exact same blitz the Raiders had earlier. They audible to a run. They bail out, come up short. Both these teams have an outstanding double A gap blitz package.
What the Broncos did, trying to disguise it. So we saw on the previous 3rd down, they overloaded one side. They had 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. They brought it from one side, dropped out the other. This time they had 7 guys stacked, and they only rushed 4, dropping back into coverage at the snap of the ball. That's why that run nearly got the first down.
Adam Jones awaits and now drifts back inside his own 20 and got hit right away. Dominique Rogers-Cromartie with the special teams tackle. We're back in half a minute after this from AARP. So here are the Broncos on first down. This is Philip Lindsay. Lindsay, who had a heck of an NFL debut last week with 102 total scrimmage yards.
When you look at the 2 rookie backs, you got Royce Freeman, the 3rd round pick. He had 71 yards on the ground, but he's more of a 1 foot in the ground plant and go. Lindsay, as you mentioned, Greg, it's 71 yards rushing as well, 31 receiving. He's more of a scat back kind of guy, 5'9", 5'8", 190, shifty, makes a couple moves, gets you out in open space, also an effective receiver coming out of the backfield.
Lindsay now flanked to the far side of the field. On 2nd and 5, pulled it down, now throwing, has a man at midfield, caught. Did he stay in bounds? No, he is ruled out of bounds. That's Demaryius Thomas.
You know, Trent, for such a great receiver, Demaryius drops a lot of really big balls. I mean, he's great with the ball in his hands, but he drops too many big balls.
I think Leon Hall does a nice job of recovering here. He knocks it loose, gets that ball out as they're going to the ground. That ball was a little bit late coming out of Keenum's hands, so Demaryius had to wait on it, and that gave Hall the time to recover and watch that left arm get in there and knock it away.
He's got to catch that thing and put it away, take it away from that defender.
3rd and 5. Keenum throwing, and that's complete. And that's going to be short of a first down by about a yard or so. Again, the tight end, Jake Butt, out of Michigan, and Reggie Nelson covering. And again, the punting unit comes on. And a few boos float down.
Well, on Reggie Nelson, once again, I gave credit the last time to Hall with the way he was able to break it up, and that time Reggie Nelson coming up with the firm tackle, not allowing the tight end to get the first down and keeping him short of the sticks.
Yeah, both those guys, old Cincinnati Bengals, played for Paul Gunther, knows their system inside and out, and are really, really smart players.
Not a single 3 and out for Denver last week. This is their 3rd today. Line drive kick, Nelson. Nelson out of bounds at about the 30. So that's where the offense will take the field. Well, yesterday, the Broncos held a walk to end Alzheimer's at Denver's City Park. Team Super Bowlin, led by members of the Bowlin family, were joined by more than 100 Broncos employees as over $115,000 raised for Alzheimer's research, support, and care. Both Broncos owner Pat Bowlin and his wife, Annabelle, courageously battling the disease. And Pat Bowlin, finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the contributor category.
Long overdue that he's nominated for the Hall of Fame.
Play fake to Lynch. A lot of time for Carr throwing this side, and that is complete and out of bounds at about the 42.5-yard line. Amari Cooper. a guy who the Raiders absolutely have to get involved offensively. In week 1, he had 1 catch for 9 yards.
You know, Trent, it's a copycat league. That's what the Rams did to them last week. Wrap back, misdirection, bootleg, get the ball downfield to the wideouts.
Well, and the thing I liked about it is because Cooper's had problems with drops the last few years. The fact that he went up and attacked it with his hands, he didn't let it get into his body, and he was able to secure the catch.
Coming this way again and out of bounds at midfield is Cooper. That's already more passes than he caught all last week.
Yeah, this is a talented guy. You know, he's struggled the last couple of years, and it's amazing. Less than 10 yards in 6 games for a first-round draft pick. And this is a really talented guy who had those slump, but they still expect big things out of him.
Well, and I think the thing that he jumped out at, you know, his first 2 years in the league is over 1,000 yards receiving both years, 6 touchdowns his rookie year, 5 his second. And then last year, the production dropped off, only 48 catches for 680 yards. So they need him to be an important part of this offense.
On 2nd and 3, play fake, Carr. Dodges trouble, throws over the middle, and that is complete, and that'll be good for a first down. Keith Smith out of the backfield for the catch.
Again, max protection, taking shots down the field. Denver did a great job of covering the 2 deep threats, and Derek did a good job of letting this play develop and then take his check down for the first down.
Well, and he slid in the pocket. He kept his feet active. He kept his eyes upfield. He looked for that big shot, and as you said, Coach, hit the check down quickly.
Well, the Raiders want to get a playoff in a hurry here before first quarter expires.
Sills hot.
And they're not gonna. They'll let time run out. It's a first quarter that saw the Raiders register 6 first downs, not a 1 for the Broncos, who are on the short end of a 3-0 score. Back for the start of the second quarter after this. Back at Bronco Stadium at Mile High for the start of the second quarter. The Broncos have to kick it into gear offensively with just 23 total yards. Meanwhile, Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. Lynch shakes a tackler, has some running room, breaks to the outside. Lynch, penalty markers fly as he's bumped out of bounds at about the 15-yard line.
Yeah, they're going to get Seth Roberts on a hold.
He just turned and tackled the guy. I mean, just get in his way. Marshawn will run him over.
Chris Harris, I believe, was in coverage or who he was attempting to block.
Holding. Offense. Number 10. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Okay, this is looking like a real problem for the Oakland Raiders. Last week, 155 penalty yards in their loss to the Rams.
Marshawn Lynch gets a lot of credit for how powerful of a back he is, but his quick feet in the backfield avoids the tackle in the backfield, and then the speed to get around the edge. Top of your screen is Seth Roberts there, and it was Roby that he was actually holding. Chris Harris was the one that came and brought pressure.
So it's a 1st and 20 now for the Raiders. Throws it back this way. Caught by Martavis Bryant and out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. Martavis, the newcomer, and we were talking with Coach Gruden and everybody else too about how you get a guy to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, they were so excited about him and like what he was going to bring, not only in the passing game, but the running game. And you saw that, Trent, the corner was 10 yards off. That little quick screen, he's going to get 15 before he's even touched.
Well, Bryant's obviously, he's been through some ups and downs in his career, and he was traded to the Raiders for a 3rd-round pick, but then the Raiders ended up releasing him, as you see there, waived him on September 1st, re-signed him this week. Want him to be a big part of today's game. You see the respect that Denver has for him.
On first down, this is Doug Martin. And Martin to about the 26-yard line. Once again, update time in New York. JB and the coach.
Blake Bortles. Yeah, Blake Bortles, he rates hot, 10 of 13, 123 yards. This 24-yarder to Keelan Cole puts Jacksonville up 14-0 in this first quarter.
Nate Burleson's line was, they've captured lightning in a portal. Thank you very much. Back to Greg.
6,000 comedians out of work, and listen to that. Thank you, guys. 3 tight ends now on 2nd and 8. Short drop for Carr, throws it this side of the field. Great grab by Derek Carrier. And that advances to the 21-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 3.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of getting a big package. You're not thinking of much pass rush. You're thinking about stopping the run, and they get some good, quick passes thrown out of their big package. And he also took a shot down the field. I think they will continue to stay with that max protection.
Well, we wanted to get Cooper up the seam, getting him upside up the numbers, but then took Carrier out in the flat as that second read. They went to double team Cooper.
Derek Carr, 11 of 12, throwing the football so far. He's going to throw another one here. Has time, lost time. Goes down at the 30-yard line. Von Miller. We were talking with Von Miller on Friday, and we talked about game situations and game plans and what it changes as far as his game. He said, they snap the ball and I just rush the quarterback. That's what I do.
I don't need a bunch of different calls. I know what I'm doing no matter what the defense is called. And that time Donald Penn moved from left tackle to right tackle this season. But you can see Von Miller attempts to give a speed rush up the field and gets Donald Penn off balance, and then he switches to an inside move and is able to get the sack.
Mike Nugent from 46 yards out. And it is good. So 2 field goals from Nugent on the board and a 6-0 Raider lead. We'll be back. A reminder, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and the coach will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Nugent set to kick it away. Philip Lindsay. I think Philip Lindsay's popular in these parts. Rookie free agent out of Colorado.
Hometown hero already.
Will not return this one. It goes through the end zone. Time to go green. Trent.
Well, we brought up a few times today the lack of pressure that the Raiders had a week ago against the Rams, and we're going to take a look at here. 3rd and 3. Jared Goff has all day to stand back at the pocket. See plenty of separation. They're not even close to him putting the pressure, and so far today, there's been all kinds of pressure. No sacks on the day, but you consider how quickly they've had to get the ball out of their hands. No 3rd down conversions yet for the Broncos. They've been bringing pressure on 3rd down, not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, they want to go up tempo. You got to make a first down to go up tempo.
What's that?
Waits, throws, tipped in the air and incomplete. That's 4 straight first downs now where they haven't made much on anything. Their first possession was a -1 yard, no yards on the 2nd and 4th tries, and 5 on the 3rd possession. First down has not been kind so far to the Broncos.
Well, and that leads to not converting on 3rd downs because you end up being stuck in 3rd and long all the time. If you don't have production on 1st and 2nd to get in those 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3s, it makes it hard as you see the lopsided stats there already in this game.
Raiders have owned time of possession so far. This is Lindsay. Lindsay breaking through. 40. Finally bumped out at about the 20-yard line by Marcus Gilchrist.
Great job on the delayed draw right there.
That is a 53-yard gain for Philip Lindsay.
Watch Lindsay. He's going to go this direction, then he winds it back and gets to the outside. The speed and the quickness, and he sets up the block. Watch how he sets up the blocks. He goes here, and then all of a sudden a stick. And then here he sets up the stick. He helps his blockers by the way he sets them up when he's running. The defenders aren't sure which way he's going, and that's the quickness I alluded to earlier.
He takes a breather. Royce Freeman back into the backfield. Freeman with the ball. And wrapped up at about the 20-yard line, a gain of about 2. Clinton McDonald, one of the new acquisitions on the front line, making the stop for the Raiders.
I'm surprised the Broncos aren't hurrying up more, knowing that the Raiders have defensive linemen who just showed up this week, and not very many of them, to try to tire them out in the first half. They're actually playing really slow right now.
56!
10.5 to play in the first half. Keenum throws outside, and that is complete to Demaryius Thomas. He'll be marked out at about the 18-yard line.
Well, he's looking at this is actually the 3rd read for him. He wants the first inside slant, 2nd outside slant, and then he goes to the flat. So he sees that underneath protection or the underneath coverage by the Raiders. He's just working through his progression.
So here's a 3rd and 6.
This is a matchup they talked about. Coach Vance talking about Emmanuel Sanders in the slot this week.
Keenum down the middle, intercepted. Picked off by Rashaan Melvin. Keenum with his 4th interception of the young season. His receiver had a step. Keenum didn't get it there.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, own it September 18th, and by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
9.5 to play in the first half. And the Raiders from their own 11. Quick pass to the outside. This is Amari Cooper. And Cooper across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Let's go back to the pick.
Yeah, Case Keenum, they're trying to try and run a little out and up. This guy's actually double covered. If the first guy doesn't get it, the second guy's going to get it. Bad decision right here.
Meanwhile, 2nd and 5 for Derek Carr and the Raiders. Lynch very close to a first down at the 26-yard line. Brought down by Von Miller. It'll be 3rd, and we'll call it a yard.
Well, and this is the 3rd down that you want if you're the Raiders, the 3rd and short. They're 0 for 4 on 3rd downs today. You see the Broncos bring some beef into the middle of that line. Bring in Zach Kerr, all 334 pounds of him.
Lynch didn't get there. Domata Peko was the first to hit him.
Great penetration by the Broncos defensive line right there. Started with Peko, and they had about 6 or 7 hats to the ball quick, Trent.
Well, and that's when you got big bodies in there, and you hear all the criticism. Why not give Marshawn Lynch the ball? Why not give Marshawn Lynch the ball? Well, the defense knows that's where you're going with it as well. That's why they put those big bodies in there, and that's why they blitz the linebackers so that there were no lanes, and you get that penetration in the backfield. That's where you got to make it stop for Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah,
you can't let him get a steaming downhill.
You got the down and distance you wanted, and you cannot allow penetration.
Not a great punt off the foot of the rookie Johnny Townsend, and it bounces out of bounds. And the Broncos are going to get some nice field position out of this with 7:32 to play in the first half. Maybe want to remind you, help people affected by Hurricane Florence and other disasters. Text Red Cross to 90999 to donate $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. Seven and a half to play. Coach, you were talking about how this altitude thing is a very real thing when you play here in Denver, except that it's the home team that seems most affected today.
Yeah, I guarantee you the Raiders aren't feeling anything right now.
This is
altitude or heat.
And Lindsey wrapped up at the 35. So that'll be a loss of a yard. It'll be 2nd and 11.
Arden Key made a nice inside slant move, beat the tackle right off the snap on Jared Valdir.
This is what the Bronco offense has been able to do, which is not very much.
Well, that's what you look at right there. You talk about why they're not tired. 14 plays. 14 plays, and we're halfway through the second quarter.
Keenum flips it out to the near side. This is Lindsey. And Lindsey is brought down short of the 40-yard line by number 25, and that is Eric Harris.
Yeah, this is another drive started with a negative play on first down. It's in that 2nd and 11. And again, you can't get in your rhythm. You got to start making things happen on first down. I would look for the Raiders to heat him up again right now, Trent.
Well, and I'm a little surprised, when you think about what they did last week against Seattle, what Denver did offensively, able to move the ball around and put up some big numbers. And the way that the Rams were able to attack this Raiders defense, give Paul Gunther and his staff a bunch of new bodies in there on defense, and they're making it happen so far.
Almost a bad snap, saved by Keenum, but then he is wrapped up at the 34-yard line. And Maurice Hurst, one of those big bodies up front for the Raiders, helps bring more boos down from the Broncos fans.
Well, and Keenum saves a huge disaster here by the Broncos. That ball nearly goes flying over his head, and able to reach up there with one hand and secure the ball. Of course, that takes your eyes away from downfield. It eliminates your ability to get a quick throw out, and fortunate that they were able to hang on to the ball.
For the fourth time today, a 3-and-out by the Denver offense, and Jordy Nelson again deep. Marquette King, the one-time Oakland punter, boots it away. And Nelson makes the fair catch at the 25-yard line with 5:26 to play in the first half. This is the NFL on CBS. Some of the Raider fans in the seats here in Denver. 5:26 to play in the first half. You look at Carr's numbers, 12 of 13 for 95 yards. Doug Martin in the backfield as they go back to work on offense. Quick pass to the outside. That's Amari Cooper. Those quick passes are the order of the day, Trent.
Well, you're trying to keep it away from the defense, the pass rush that the Broncos, 6 sacks a week ago. So what are you going to do? You got to get the ball out of your hands quickly. That's exactly what Carr's been able to do. Now, 13 of 14 so far in this game. But as you can see, you're throwing those quick slants, the quick hitches, the screens behind the line of scrimmage. You're not going to have a ton of yards, but you're definitely going to make sure you're not getting the sack fumble.
You're not getting hit, that's for sure. They also did a good job of max protecting and sending some balls down the field.
Carr over the middle, wide open. Hits his man across the 45 to the 48. That's Jared Cook. Brought down by Justin Simmons. That is a pickup of 20 and a first down for the Raiders.
Cook's going to be lined up over here. It's just going to be a spin and a quick play fake up the middle. Watch the linebackers. Everybody up here, they rush. That's what allows Cook to get behind to that second level. A week ago, Cook with 9 catches for 180 yards. That time, because of the play fake, that middle coverage getting brought up to the line of scrimmage, gets a big gain down the middle.
Good old trap pass. You pull that guard, those linebackers are going forward.
Carr, this side, great grab by Nelson. Stays on his feet till he gets to about the 45 of the Broncos. Brought down by Shaquille Barrett, and the clock continues to move. 3:50 to play in the first half.
Yeah, Jordan Nelson with a heck of a catch on an errant throw, but looked to me like Trent, they have a running play called with a quick screen back to the weak side, and they've hit that thing twice, one to Martavius and now one to him.
Well, that quick flash fake to the front side, you see Shaq Barrett blitzing off the backside or bringing pressure off the backside. That just freezes him enough he can't jump up and get a hand on it.
On 2nd and 3, whistle blows. And the timeout is called by the Oakland Raiders. So with that, we'll take a timeout. Back in 30 seconds after this from FanDuel.
Oakland.
Well, it bears repeating that there are some things that we expected to happen in this game that haven't happened. Number one, we didn't know if that makeshift defensive line by the Raiders would hold up. It has so far, and they've pretty much negated Von Miller with the quick passing. 2nd and 3. The pitch to Lynch. Lynch fights his way through about 3 or 4 Broncos as he crosses the 45-yard line.
Coach, I think at some point in time we're going to see that handoff to Cooper going around, because they faked the flash. They faked the fake to Cooper going around, and then all of a sudden did the dish to the outside to Lynch. So there were 3 defenders waiting for Lynch. Hardly anybody followed Cooper that way, so they were ready for the ball to go to Lynch.
They didn't respect that zip motion at all.
That's right. They'll dial it back up here, not right away, but they'll end up getting to it once they saw the response of the defense.
3rd and 2. Carr going to throw for it. Lots of time over the middle. Penalty markers fly. The ball falls incomplete, intended for Seth Roberts. And
like
this is going to go against the Broncos.
Holding. Defense, number 24. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
That's Adam Jones, and it's going to give the Raiders a new set of downs.
Yeah, they are past the 5 yards. Not only is it a legal bump after that, but you can see both hands reach around Nelson's waist and pull him back. I got to give credit to that offensive line of the Raiders there. That time the Broncos brought 6. They were able to pick it up and gave Carr a couple times to bounce in there and make a throw.
Gave Jordy enough time to do a double move on Pac-Man.
From the 39. Doug Martin finds running room up the middle, inside the 35 to the 34.
I really like the way John Gruden calls plays. He's given Derek Carr a play call and then 3 or 4 options. If they give you a look, give me this. Did a great job right there, seeing a too-high shell, stayed with the draw play.
Raiders back to the line on 2nd and 5.
We're waiting. What's it hot? Hey, LA, Richard Nixon, LA. Silva, Silva's hot. We're waiting. What's it hot?
And we get to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here in Denver. So far, it's been all Oakland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by Fidelity Investments.
Welcome back to Denver. 2 minutes to play. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. 2nd and 5 for the Raiders at the Denver 34.
I think right here, you've got 2 choices. You can try to score fast, use your 2 timeouts for your defense, try to get the ball back again.
Wide open is Jared Cook. And Cook inside the 15 to the 14 and a first down for the Raiders.
Especially with my defense playing great, or slow it down, try to use all the half and go up 2 scores.
Well, and I think that's what they're trying to do as you see them huddle up. They were in an up-tempo. They were going at the line of scrimmage, and now they do a short huddle. You can see Carr taking his time.
Marshawn Lynch, no. Quick pass to the near side. And that's Martavis Bryant. And he's knocked out of bounds at about the 8.
A lot of respect for Martavis Bryant. They're playing so far off. Those quick passes out there are just nothing. You know that, and he's so big and tall. That's a 6-7 yard gain every time he catches it.
He can just fall down and lean forward with the ball, and he's going to get a few yards. And talking to Derek Carr yesterday, he talked to us about the fact he loves the freedom of this John Gruden offense and what allows him to do at the line of scrimmage. We've heard it throughout this first half, the number of changes that he's able to make with the call at the line of scrimmage. And now, obviously, you're trying to use up some time here before you try and get in the end zone.
On 2nd and 4. Throwing inside the 5, complete to Lynch, looking for the end zone, doesn't get there.
I think if you're Denver, you almost have to call a timeout to try and save some of this.
Clock continues to move.
Raiders have 1st and goal at the 1. Why not? They got a couple timeouts.
Yeah, I mean, if you think your offense, although he might want to get in halftime because his offense isn't doing anything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't done anything. So, and if I'm the Raiders right here, I'm milking this thing down.
Oh, yeah.
I want to score a touchdown.
You want to score a
but
touchdown.
I still have 2 timeouts, and I can run it. I got everything down.
That's why you run the ball on 1st down.
Yeah.
If you get in, great. That's what you want to score. But if you don't, you're fine because you keep the clock moving.
Lynch. Short of the goal line. And now we get a timeout called.
Well, and that's why you run it. Because if you don't make it, then you force Denver to call one of their timeouts.
Reminder once again, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Cowher. We've got lots to talk about with today's scores and highlights all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. So Denver called that timeout. They are down to 1. Oakland has 2 remaining.
Yeah, that timeout, 33 seconds. Maybe you're going to get it back with 20. You're going to kneel down anyway.
Right.
Let the clock run. Let the Raiders use their timeout. I don't know why Denver would call timeout unless they needed a breather.
Derek Carr is 18 of 19 throwing the football today.
Say up!
Lynch diving, touchdown. We get our first touchdown of the day with just 35 seconds to play in the first half.
Great vision by Lynch. This play was supposed to go more off of left tackle, and he sees at the last minute that they're stacked up over there. He takes that left foot, plants it in the ground, and goes back towards the middle, more over the guard, where there's a lane to get in the end zone.
Yeah, that big offensive line for the Raiders knocked them out there pretty good. That was a heck of a drive right before the half.
Mike Nugent for the extra point. Blocked.
What a day in the NFL for extra points.
It's been that way for a couple of weeks now.
Well, now you have to start thinking. Think about how this half is unfolding. Now, 202 yards for the Raiders as we take another look at the block. 202 yards for the Raiders, 78 for the Broncos up until this point. So it's completely been dominated by the Raiders, and yet it's a 12-point game. And now Denver is going to have an opportunity with one timeout in their pocket. They could get a couple things happening, maybe get a long field goal attempt. And remember, they have the ball coming out in the second half because they deferred the opening kickoff.
And one thing about being in Denver, 62 yards is an easy field goal.
That's right.
You got to defend a lot more grass.
There's Shaq Barrett, who got the block, by the way.
Stadium.
Incidentally, the Oakland Raiders have not shut an opponent out in the first half of a road game since week 2 of the 2008 season at Kansas City.
Yeah, Paul Gunter's done a tremendous job today with the defense. Defensive coordinator of the Raiders.
Touchback means the Broncos will start at their own 25. They have one timeout and 35 seconds on the clock.
Well, and with that one timeout, yeah, you'd ideally like to save it to use for the field goal. But if you can get a 25, 30-yard chunk down the middle of the field, because if the Raiders decide to protect the boundary and give you some seams in the middle of the field, go ahead and take that big chunk and use your timeout that way.
I think big thing here, for Case Keenum has to be smart now. He can't take a chance with this ball right before the half because the Raiders get another field goal.
Coach, you're talking about the job Paul Guenther has done. Denver has managed one first down so far today. This is Devontae Booker. He's wrapped up short of the 30-yard line. More boos come down as the Broncos will take this one to the locker room. No, they're going to snap it once more.
Nothing's good going to happen with this.
Keenum cranks it up, throws down the sideline. And he had Demaryius Thomas on the run.
That's a confusing sequence of plays there.
Penalty marker down on the near side.
My guess is Demaryius stepped out of bounds and then came back in, was the first to contact.
Number 88 went out of bounds and came back in and was first to touch the pass. It is illegal touching. The enforcement of that penalty is a loss of down. It is third down.
And that's why he's called Trent Green, Coach.
Yes, indeed. He saw the official throw his hat off.
So it has been a first half to forget for the Broncos. 8 seconds on the clock.
Trent, this has got to be a draw, some kind of handoff. In 8 seconds, you can't even get near field goal range.
Devontae Booker. Booker up the middle and cut down before he reaches the 40-yard line. And that will do it. Oh, no, there's a timeout called. It is. Timeout called by the Broncos. And I believe there was a second or two remaining on the clock.
Third and final charge timeout. Denver, will the game clock operator please reset the game clock to 2 seconds, please? Thank you.
See when he goes down, how much time? 3 seconds, they call timeout. Bottom of your screen, right there is Vance Joseph calling the timeout. Well, I guess we're going to find out how far Case Keenum can throw the football.
Yeah, the big thing here, the Raiders just don't commit a penalty. I mean, just no penalties to give them a field goal. And get 11 guys on the field.
Raiders back a good 30, 40 yards off the line of scrimmage. Keenum stepping up and throwing, and a little shovel.
The Raiders only had 10 defenders on the field.
Down the sideline comes Emmanuel Sanders. And now we hit halftime.
This is the end.
Pretty good first half for Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders. That's the end of the first half. Oakland leading Denver by a 12-0 score. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. We are back at Broncos Stadium at Mile High, getting set for the start of the third quarter. 12-0 in favor of the Raiders. A look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. Case Keenum looking to put the Broncos on the board. Rashad Melvin had other ideas with the interception at the goal line. And right now it is a 12-0 Raiders lead as we welcome you back to Denver. Greg Gumbel, Bruce Arians, Trent Green. This is not how it's gone according to our script anyway. I'm sure it hasn't gone that way according to the Broncos either.
No, the Raiders are in great shape right now. I love what they're doing offensive. They're mixing the run and the quick passing game. They're also taking shots down the field. The score before the half was huge.
Well, and I think what Denver needs to do is they need to get things going on first down. They haven't had very much production at all on first down. You consider they have not converted a third down yet, and a lot of that is due to what they did on first down, or lack of what they did on first down. We take a look at the numbers of the two quarterbacks, and Keenum just needs to get things going. He tried forcing that ball down in the red zone. You can't have a turnover when you're in scoring position.
That 18 for 19 by Derek Carr, the best by an NFL quarterback since Tony Romo did it against the Buffalo Bills back in 2011. 18 for 19. Broncos get the football to start the second half. And this will go through the end zone. We go down to Melanie.
Thank you, Greg. Well, I spoke with John Gruden first. He's clearly very pleased with his defense in the first half, but he said, I was happy last week after the first half, too. We've got to finish this thing. Then I spoke to Vance Joseph. He said, I want my team to attack more aggressively on offense in the second half. His message to Case Keenum was the same, attack downfield, Greg.
All right, Melanie, thank you very much. You know, John Gruden, yeah, he had hoped that the opener would go better than it did, but it still didn't curb his excitement about getting back into the NFL on a head coaching level.
Lady, what's that?
Play fake. Keenum running out of time. Now on the move, throws and midfield caught by Emmanuel Sanders. And that's the first down.
That's only their second positive first down play in the whole game so far, and they have to get Emmanuel Sanders involved. 10 catches last week. I think that's his first target today.
Well, Keenum comes off of a play fake, trying to look back to his left, our right with the way you're looking at it, because it's flooded to that side. Only had one receiver to the right, so when he flushed to the right, he was able to get the completion and have a big lane to throw.
Down! You! Lady! What's that?
Philip Lindsay. Across midfield, about 49. Lindsay, one of those runners that just always seems to find room to run.
Well, he's smaller in stature, so he's quick, and he's able to find that and use his vision, and he has good feet, and he's able to get through 68 yards rushing on just 5 carries. Of course, had the big 53-yard run in the first half.
Got great patience for a young runner. Really waited right there, picked his spot, and went.
2nd and 5.
Lady! What's that?
This is Lindsay. And this time, across the 45 and enough for a first down at the 44. And Philip Lindsay, you said not big at all at 5'8", 190.
He's an exciting player. He's getting the crowd jacked up. He does again. They started this half 2 positive plays on first down. They got a good drive going. I'm surprised they're not going a little more on tempo.
Well, because of what they had, the production they've had, the 2 first downs they've had in this drive, and that was we just talked about them. Glad they listened. That they had to get some production because they're keeping themselves out of third down right now.
Lady! What's that?
On first down, Lindsay with another first down run.
How about that balance? We talked about his vision and his quick feet and he able to find the small creases and get through, but just the balance of getting knocked around. And
they do a great job of switching these 2 backs in and out, and have certain plays for both of them and really feed them the proper way.
Most guys would have gone down with that hit.
Down! Hey, we're
Well, you saw him put that left arm down on the ground. It looked like they were going to take his legs. I puts that left hand down and spins right out of it.
The pitch for Freeman. And the rookie trying to turn the left corner does so easily. And inside the 20 and out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. Marcus Gilchrist along with Gary and Conley running him out.
Watch with the way they're going to just come down. They're going to get around to the outside. Just the way they're able to bounce it to the outside, it's because they eliminate. See how they seal it? Then it's chop, chop. He's down. There's nobody out there.
Yeah,
That's
the Raiders had an
run.
inside blitz, and usually he's the inside runner, and they pitch it outside. Great combination. Good call by Bill Musgrave, offensive coordinator.
So Freeman and Lindsey are in the backfield now. And now Lindsey flanked outside. Coming this way. And making the play is number 25, Eric Harris.
Yeah, good old Wildcat, you know, but again, the Raiders had it defended perfectly.
Putting that running back in, playing quarterback. Case Keenum was split out to the right. Not sure if that's a read or if it's an actual fake handoff and a keeper on the outside. Depends on how much faith they have in
and the young player.
the young guy to make that read.
2nd and 11. Freeman tries the right side, gets down to the 15.
Good job there, getting 5 yards on the run, getting himself in a manageable third down here. And again, this is an area Manuel Sanders really excels at down in the red zone.
Yeah, I saw that time they had Sutton, the rookie out of SMU, 6'4", one-on-one down here at the bottom. I was like, I thought they were going to check and throw a jump ball to him. Big size advantage.
Yeah, they love him. He made some spectacular plays in the preseason and practice for him.
5 wide on 3rd and 7.
Well, he's lined up at the top of your screen there, one-on-one. You see if they step to it and take advantage of it.
Keenum looking left, throwing left. That's complete. And diving inside the 10 is Demaryius Thomas. And we have a flag.
Well, Bruce Irvin was in the backfield yelling at the official, and evidently he must have used the magic words because the flag came flying out. This was going to bring a 4th and short, less than 1 it looked like.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 51. Now penalty is enforced. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
That is Bruce Irvin, and it does get them the first down. Meanwhile, Demaryius Thomas still down, out of bounds.
Yeah, those. Again, Raider penalties, man. That has been their Achilles heel for so long. They get a stop, going to make Denver make a huge decision, and they give them a first down.
You saw Demaryius Thomas got hit in the right ribs or right hip area. And, yeah, all of a sudden it would have been 4th and less than a yard. At the Broncos, you got to decide what you're going to do. You decide to yell at the official and give the Broncos 1st and goal inside the 5.
5 first downs for the Broncos on this drive. Keenum to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Tim Patrick. First-year wideout out of Utah.
Another one of those big, tall kids, and throws it up, makes a nice catch. Good ball by Case Keenum on the back shoulder throw. Denver's right back in this thing now. Deja vu for the Raiders of last week.
Well, and that's what you have to do if you're the Broncos coming out in the second half. You have to take advantage. What they do, the very first play on first down, they got a big chunk to Emmanuel Sanders. Then on the next first down, they got a 6-yard run, which set up second down. We got them a first down. All of a sudden, you start getting some progress going. You get some tempo going. And then, of course, the costly penalty on Irving gives them 1st and goal inside the 5. All scores are reviewed as it looks like the officials are going to take a longer look.
Is under review.
Coach, you noted the hard work that the Broncos were putting in on Friday in the red zone. They'll take a look. We'll take a break. back to Denver in just a moment. Back in Denver, officials are still talking about it. Let's take a look at this play right here, this angle.
Yeah, to me, he's 1, 2, elbow, body parts are down. It's a touchdown. They don't have to maintain possession throughout the catch anymore.
Well, and Bruce, the key to me is the fact that it was called a touchdown on the field. So it's 2 feet down, elbow down, and called on the field.
Let's go to New York to Gene Steratore. Gene, what do you see?
Guys, I think everything that you're saying right now is perfectly described. Remember, possession in this sequence, possession, 2 feet or a body part, and then a football move. We have possession, second foot, and then this reach with the elbow. If that's considered a football move prior to, then they'll count that as a touchdown. If they do not think that that is a football move, then he has to survive the ground. Let's hear what John Hussey has to say.
To an incomplete pass. The receiver did not maintain possession of the ball.
They have ruled it
throughout the process of completing the catch.
incomplete.
It'll be second and goal from the Denver 4.5. Will the game clock operator please set the game clock to 9:45?
Sure.
Gene, this surprise you?
You know, Bruce, a little bit, but I think, again, where we're going to come up to this subjectivity here is that lean with that arm considered a body move, and is the ball moving when he does reach for that? So after possession, 2 feet, when he's reaching, if that ball's coming out, he's got to survive the ground again.
Gene Steratore, thank you. Makes it a second and goal. Quick pass. Looking for the end zone is Demaryius Thomas, and he's at the 1.
They love that screen to the big fella coming down here inside the 5-yard line. They've been doing that for years. I'm surprised he didn't get it in. Really good tackle.
So it is third and goal.
And that's the thing when you have a receiver of that size. He didn't show any ill effects of this hit over on the sideline with the ribs or hip or whatever it was that he went off the field on. That time he lowered his head, tried getting the end zone.
Denver just 1 out of 7 on third down today. Third and goal from the 1. Freeman, straight ahead. Touchdown. Royce Freeman's first NFL touchdown.
Well, that's what you get with Freeman. 6 feet, 238 pounds. He's going to follow his fullback right through the crease there between the guard and center. As you said, Greg, gets in for his first touchdown. And as we've seen so far today, Bruce, extra points aren't guaranteed.
Oh, my gosh, what a day.
The kick is perfect by Brandon McManus. 9:06 to play. Third quarter. Broncos with something to celebrate for a change today. 12-7 Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. The Home Depot, more saving, more doing. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
There are many ways to arrive at the stadium. That's just one of them. 9:06 to play in the third. 12-7 is the score. This one is short enough for a return. Will Richard do it? No, he'll take a knee in the end zone, and they'll start from the 25-yard line. There is Freeman, who scored Denver's first touchdown of the day, his first touchdown of his NFL career, and defense now important for the Oakland Raiders. They allowed 10 in the first half against the Rams and 23 in the second half. And they pitched a shutout here in the first half.
Well, and the Broncos, their opening drive was nearly 6 minutes in length. So now the Raiders offensively have to come out and respond.
Yeah, just keep doing the things they were doing in the first half. Mixing it up, run, pass, quick passes, and go get some points.
Marshawn Lynch, running room up the middle. Across the 30 to about the 34 to set up a 2nd and 1.
That's what you call first down production.
Yes, indeed. You want to have a good drive, get 9 on first down. Now you want to take a shot, get the first down, or take your shots down the field. You got everything now.
Here's that up-tempo of the Raider offense you were looking for. Carr on the move, throws, complete. That is the tight end, Cook. And Cook has a first down out to about the 38.
Really like the play call by John Gruden right there. 2nd and 1, safe play. Got a touchdown, check down. Touchdown one there, get the check down to Cook, get a first down.
Well, they had the other tight end, Lee Smith, who was releasing on a deep corner route. You talk about a touchdown check down. He looked up the field first, didn't see it, go ahead and dump it underneath the Cook, who gets the first down. Good start to this drive.
Doug Martin in the backfield now on first down. Carr going to throw. Over the middle, wide open at the 40-yard line. It is complete to Amari Cooper. And another Raider first down.
There is no one in the middle of the field. Amari Cooper is lined up on the left. He just goes up and does the dig route right to the middle. Just to, hey, I'm going to go up and make a right turn because nobody's here. Derek Carr had plenty of time in the pocket, good protection. He had time to sit in there and wait. And put the strike between
max
the
protection, got both tight ends chipped. I don't know where the inside linebackers were.
I don't know where
who
the
had the inside zones.
30-yard pickup on the play. Doug Martin, running room up the middle to the 25. Justin Simmons with the stop, and we have a penalty marker.
Yeah, I think they got Jared Cook holding, trying to cut off Von Miller on the backside of that run.
Illegal use of the hands. Hands to the face. Offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's the left guard, Kelechi Osemele.
Well, I'm with you, Coach. I thought they could have called Cook on a hold on that backside. He hooked him.
Vaughn had beat him across his face, but you know Vaughn, he's rushing the passer. He's not playing the cutback lane.
So now John Gruden's offense looking at a 1st and 20. Carr throwing outside, hit his man. That is Amari Cooper once again.
This is what they need. He's matched up against Tremaine Brock. This inside move sticks and goes to the corner. Watch, he uses his hands. That's what they've been expecting and what they've wanted from him. We talked about the drops that he's been having to deal with here the last couple of seasons, but today he's been catching everything with his hands, not allowing things to get into his body.
Yeah, but again, great protection by the offensive line. That play took 3.2 to get off that deep V corner route.
They needed 20. He got 20. It's a first down. Richard cut down at the line of scrimmage. Maybe got a yard on the play. Zach Kerr and Shaq Barrett. And it'll be 2nd and 9.
Going back to the catch by Cooper, the fact that a week ago, the majority of the passing game was tight ends and running backs, 24 catches by the tight ends and running backs and only 5 by the wide receivers. Today between Cooper, Nelson, Seth Roberts, and Martavis Bryant, you're looking at 11 receptions already by the wide receivers.
On 2nd and 9, Carr to the end zone. Seth Roberts with the catch for the touchdown.
Again, great job. Play action pass, pull the guard, good fake, and a heck of a throw in the middle between the nickel and the safety.
Just a great job because of the play fake. You're going to see that it's the seam that they're going to hit right up here, but it's the tight end who comes across here that just freezes the safety enough that allows this pass to get in. Watch Cook as he goes up, he crosses to the other side of the field. That freezes the backside safety. That's what allows the lane for Carr to fire that in.
They're taking a look down at the goal line to Justin Simmons. And also on his back is number 25, and that is Chris Harris, the cornerback.
Harris had outside leverage on Roberts. And then as Simmons comes over, the collision that happens between the two.
Friendly fire. But that was a heck of a throw by Derek Carr.
Let's see, if you're Chris Harris, you're thinking, I got safety help in the middle. I can play outside. I don't want to beat on a corner route.
You know, and that guy, Simmons, he studied so much film of Jared Cook last week. That was the guy that brought his eyes and got him out of position. He was all the way on the far hash.
And based off of last week, you would have to be.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that.
Derek Carr is now 22 for 23 throwing the football today.
Great answer by the Raiders offense after the Broncos score.
Nugent, extra point is perfect. 5:25 to play in the third. And yeah, the Broncos get into the end zone. The Raiders come right back. Seth Roberts on the touchdown catch. The Raiders go 75 yards in 3 minutes, 41 seconds.
I thought it was a great job by the offensive line. Those were not quick passes. That 1st and 20 ball, that takes some time to throw. They did a good job of their play action passes, but their offensive line doing one heck of a job keeping the Denver pass rush off balance.
Well, and the big completion to Cooper over the middle, he took 3 hitches before he got rid of that ball.
So once again, the touchback, and the Broncos will start at their own 25. This is Derek Carr on the last drive, and as he has been for all of the day, he's been on target.
It's amazing when you look at the numbers, the production he's been able to have. He's getting the wide receivers involved. We touched on that the last drive, the way he's getting them going. And Jared Cook was such a big game last week, but can't say enough about the production that Derek Carr's had and the protection he's had.
Yeah, the first half were a lot of quick passes. That drive right there, those balls were going 15, 20 yards down the field and big in chunks.
Lindsey in the backfield.
What's that?
Lindsey with the football for a couple.
Denver's got to match it. They got to keep their tempo up and get this ball pushed up the field. I mean, again, another first down play that's a 1-yard gain. They got to have, when they had their drive, they were successful on first down. It makes third down easy, especially if you don't have any in the drive.
Right. Yeah, they were 0 for 5 on third down in the first half. Last drive, they were 2 for 2 on third down, and they were all short down and distances.
Keenum going to go deep down this sideline. It is caught. Is he inbounds or not? It is ruled a catch by Courtland Sutton at the 32-yard line.
Well, and Sutton had a step.
The Broncos want to get a snap off before this can be looked at.
Oh, there goes the red flag already. Sutton had a step on Conley.
Yeah, he didn't leave quite enough room from the sideline to catch the ball over his shoulder. It could be a heck of a catch, but I wouldn't be surprised if this one comes back. And I was surprised the Broncos took so long hurrying that up. Anytime you have a long pass like that, get up there and go.
Of the completed catch. Timeout.
They'll take a look. We'll take a break.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network. And by McDonald's.
So after the play was reviewed, the call has been changed as an incomplete pass. You see an obvious pass interference call that wasn't made, but he lands out of bounds, and it's going to come back. Would have been a 42-yard pickup. Instead, it's 3rd and 9.
And no, you can't review pass interference on instant replay.
We'd be here all day.
Yes, indeed. But Gary and Conley definitely got away with one right there.
3rd and 9.
88, 59, 59, yellow. Monday. Brady, what's that?
Keenum throwing. It is caught just across the 45-yard line by Emmanuel Sanders. Nice throw, terrific grab by Sanders.
Well, and that doesn't even make any sense to me, Coach, because they had double coverage over there. They buzzed underneath. The cornerback went soft on it. and Nelson was buzzing underneath, so you had him stacked. Everybody else was singled up, so I thought he was going somewhere else. Instead, he sticks with it, and Sanders gets open for the first down.
Yeah, again, and Denver's line gave him all day to stand back there and throw it.
Keenum to the near side again and again. Caught, this time by Demaryius Thomas.
Finally, Denver's going up tempo to try to tire these guys out. But they, again, productive first down plays, you can go up tempo.
Keenum now 10 for 18 today for 95 yards. Keenum throwing through the hands of his intended receiver, and that was Thomas.
He's just trying to make the move too fast. He realizes there's going to be pressure coming. He's trying to catch it and get to the inside, pivot around the linebacker.
Yeah, just catch the ball and make the first down. I mean, it's a zone coverage. It's not going to be a long run after catch. Just get the first down.
So Denver started going 0 for 5 on third down. Since then, 3 for 3 on third down conversion. And they're looking at a 3rd and 3 here. Keenum with time, lofts it, has a man open, and he's got it! Emmanuel Sanders for a first down, Broncos.
That time the Raiders blitzed everybody, and they got no one even close to the quarterback, so there's no way you could play man-to-man that long. Got him on a double move, out and up. Really good job by that offensive line.
Well, and you see that double move. He came in on a slant, then he pivoted out to the sideline, and as you said, with that max protection, bringing the blitz, allows him time and man-to-man coverage to get that big completion.
Quick pass to the near side to Demaryius Thomas. And that doesn't get very much at all, just inside the 25-yard line. A pickup of 1 2nd and 9, and again, the Broncos right to the line of scrimmage.
35.
3.5 to play in the third.
55. On express. Go down. Set.
Booker to the 21.
And Coach, give Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator for the Broncos, give him credit now in his first full year as offensive coordinator. Last year, taking over in week 12, had to really run Mike McCoy's offense. Didn't have time to change the terminology and the way things were called this offseason, put it into more of his terminology and what he wanted to get done after having little production in the first half. Really coming out with a good game plan here in the second half and being able to produce some yards and obviously points on the last series.
Yeah, and the up-tempo just caught the Raiders with 12 men on the field. They had to call timeout, and they look like they're tiring them out pretty quick.
Charge
right
timeout.
Oakland uses its first timeout.
Timeout.
Case Keenum talked in Friday's meeting how much he loves Bill Musgrave's offense and what he gives him at the line of scrimmage and allow him to play quarterback.
Well, and you can see here, we talked about that up-tempo and how they wanted to try and tire. The D-line of the Raiders, they've been trying to change personnel. You can see the personnel going in and out. You mentioned the fact 12 guys were stuck on the field. That's why there was the timeout. But when you can get that up-tempo, get first downs, Greg just mentioned a second ago, 0 for 5 on third down conversions in the first half, and the second half, 4 for 4. So you keep them on the field, you tire them out, you keep that up-tempo, that's when you can take advantage of it.
So what are the Denver Broncos doing differently in this half that they didn't do in the first half?
Production on first down.
All the way. And getting in manageable third down distances.
Denver had 112 total yards in the first half, 124 already here in the third quarter. Keenum with time, going for the end zone. It is caught! Oh, what a catch by Courtland Sutton!
They're celebrating like it's a touchdown, but the official called his feet out of bounds.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. 4th down.
Yeah, that left foot, when it comes down, slides out of bounds before he makes contact with the ground. The official was right on top of it.
There's the left foot.
Well, it looks like it slides out, but does it slide out and hit the white, or does it slide out and it's elevated above the white?
Right.
Or does that right knee come down before it slides out?
Of an incomplete pass.
His foot's in bounds when it comes up. Is it in the air? It's going to be a hard one to find. But
Watch
he's
the
in
grass.
bounds.
Watch the grass kick up, but does his foot actually touch the white, or is it up elevated above the white?
Yes, he's in bounds right there.
And then his elbow hits, his knee hits, everything else hits in bounds. So the ruling on the field was he was out of bounds. The official that was right on top of it ruled that his foot actually hit the white. Unless they can find some kind of replay that shows it up above or elevated above the white. We haven't seen it yet, but
it's going to be one of those ones that go is what was called on the field. But his foot's in bounds and it goes up in the air.
Goes up in the air. Whether or not it touches the white, you don't see any of the white.
The ruling on the field of an incomplete pass has been confirmed. The receiver's foot goes out of bounds prior to his knee hitting. Fourth down.
I still don't know if I see any of the white move.
If it was called a touchdown, it would have been a touchdown. This is.
Once again, our rules analyst, Gene Steratore in New York. Gene, what'd you see?
I think I saw exactly how you guys explained it. What surprises me a little on this is the ruling on the field, guys, was confirmed, which is actually saying to us that if they would have ruled this a touchdown, that they would have overturned that to incomplete by saying it's confirmed. That looked like a stands play to me from the angles that we had.
All right, Gene, thank you. So the 39-yard field goal attempt by Brandon McManus is good. And instead of a touchdown on the board, Broncos settle for 3. And with 2:43 to play in the third, it is a 19-10 Oakland lead. Completely different football game from the first half.
Oh, yeah, both offenses, both offensive lines especially, are dominating both sides of the ball. For Denver, it's just 2 overturned calls, but they're moving the ball and playing so much better on first down. And the Raiders, they're getting much better action on first down.
Hey, I'm standing by my original thought. Hell of a catch by Cortland Sutton.
Yeah,
yes,
I don't. Like Gene said, with him using the words "confirm," that means they saw the white move or that his foot was in the white. Based on what we saw, I never saw that, but. It's gonna be an ongoing discussion all year, just like it has every other year.
Yeah, I'd be red-faced on the sideline right now.
Be a little hot.
Oh,
that kick goes through the end zone. And for more, let's go down to Melanie.
Well, Greg, just a few Broncos injuries to update you on. Right tackle Jared Valdir is being evaluated for a concussion. He was taken into the locker room for further evaluation, but he has come back out. His return is questionable. Then cornerback Chris Harris was also taken into concussion protocol. He has been cleared to return.
Thank you, Melanie. That was the collision at the goal line that Chris Harris was involved in, along with Justin Simmons. He is back on the field. 2:43 to play in the third. The Raiders with back-to-back 75-yard scoring drives. And Marshawn Lynch carries across the 30, out to the 33, once again to New York. JB and the coach.
New England finally with the touchdown.
Yeah, after Jacksonville fumble, Tom Brady's going to find Chris Hogan from 7 yards out. They cut a 24-3 lead to 24-10. Jacksonville now leads.
A lot of time left, Bill. Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, guys, thank you. Carr rolling, throws incomplete. Just across the 40-yard line, Jordy Nelson, his intended receiver.
Yeah, the Raiders are doing a great job with a weak side zone running game. Marshawn's average has got to be average about 8 yards a carry on first down, running over to that weak side, just like John Gruden talked about in his meetings yesterday.
And that was the production we talked about on first down. The first series of the second half they had. First down play, Marshawn Lynch running left, gets 9 yards, makes the second short. This time he gets 8 yards, so that allows the play-action pass on second down and keeps this third and short.
Derek Carr now 22 for 24 throwing the football. On the slant, there's a completion. And once again, Amari Cooper. Cooper across the 45 to the 46 and a first down.
Really good job by Amari Cooper, just whooping him on the slant. Took him outside, broke it back inside. Good catch. Almost came out of it. He's playing with a lot of confidence today.
Well, and Denver once again had 6 people at the line of scrimmage. Dropped 2. Von Miller, you see him in coverage. He dropped, trying to get them to commit to that side. Instead, holding up pressure on the inside, and Miller not able to get underneath that slant route.
On first down, this is Doug Martin, and Martin with running room across midfield to the 48-yard line, where he's brought down by Justin Simmons. Derek Carr is now 23 for 25 throwing the ball. Single game record, Kurt Warner back in 09. 92.3%. He was 24 for 26 against Jacksonville.
Again, the right side of the offensive line for the Raiders Denver had a 7-man box. They can't put any more guys in there to try to stop that weak side run.
Final minute of the third quarter. Marshawn Lynch. Tough sledding, brought to a stop at the 46-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and 2.
Well, the Broncos have consistently shown that throughout the day, showing a 2-deep safety look, and then right at the snap, one of the 2 safeties rotating down just to try and prevent from the run. You see a 2-deep look as a quarterback, you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna check to a run or find a weakness in the lane, and then all of a sudden you drop that safety. So Denver's done a good job of trying to mix it up, especially here in the second half.
Carr on the move, throws, hits his man. That's a first down. Amari Cooper.
A good job by the Raiders right there.
We come to the end of 3. 19-10 Raiders. Along with our producer Ken Mack, our director Suzanne Smith, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Bruce Arians, Melanie Collins from Denver as we start the fourth quarter. The Raiders with the ball and a 9-point lead. Marshawn Lynch. Bullied back. Forward progress will be marked at about the 41.
Yeah, Denver did a good job. Changed up their front. Got Derek to audible away from that weak side run that's been so good. Come back strong side, and the safety dropped right into the hole and blew it up.
Well, I just talked about on the previous snap or a couple snaps ago about how they give you a cover 2 look, and then one of those safeties rotates down and comes down in the box to stop the run. You just mentioned he checked that way because Justin Simmons has been going to the middle of the field. That time he checks to Simmons, and he's the one that rotates down, so there was nowhere to go because the way the defensive line slanted with that safety help.
Carr to throw. This side of the field, complete and out of bounds at the 35. Once again, Amari Cooper. Cooper with his 9th catch of the day, and that'll put him over 100 yards receiving. 103 to be exact.
Well, I'm trying to answer a week ago, only 1 catch for 9 yards. Wasn't a major fact, wasn't really a factor at all in that game against the Rams. And today, huge impact, as you said, Greg, 9 catches, 103 yards already.
And with the way the connection was going to the tight end, Jared Cook, right. John Gruden said no reason to go away from him.
Denver's DBs are playing too far off. I mean, if he has to hold that ball for a 1/10 of a second more, Von Miller's got a sack. They got to go up and challenge these guys more. They can't play that far off.
So with the play clock winding down, Oakland uses its second timeout with 13:42 to play. Back in Denver for a big 3rd down. You guys say that the Raiders are in 4-down territory here.
Yeah, it depends right here. If you're 4-down territory, you could possibly run it. You also can make field goals easily here from 55 to 58. So everything's open for them right here. It depends on what they want to do on 4th down.
Going to give it to Richard, and Richard very close to a first down at the 32.
Here comes the decision now.
Well, and I think if this ends up being short, because it's short enough, that you go ahead and go for it.
Yeah, you see the big fella coming in off the sideline. Marshawn Lynch. Now, they had one of these early in the game and got stuffed when they went to their big package. Mm-hmm. You know, they might think about spreading them out and giving the ball to him.
Decision time for John Gruden. You'll wait for the measurement, but
even before the measurement, they have an extra offensive lineman. They have their fullback, Keith Smith, coming out on the field. You got Marshawn coming out, so.
Looks to be short by about a half a yard.
Oh yeah, I think definitely right here. This is a total. This is who we are. We're going to be big, physical, and they got stuffed on this before. I wouldn't be surprised if you get the old power pass, fullback in the flat right here.
Right. So Feliciano, the extra offensive lineman, comes in to play tight end. As you mentioned, Keith Smith's in at fullback. You got Marshawn in the game.
4th down and not very far to go for a first down.
Nine defenders.
Carr throwing, dropped at the 35-yard line by Keith Smith.
John Feliciano, the tight end on the backside, wide open. They didn't even cover him. I don't think Derek thought about throwing it to him, but fullback, he's got to make that catch. Great call by John, and just got to execute.
John wanted the ball, too.
Watch here, it hits him right in the hands, right off his finger. It looks like he was turning his head to get upfield.
Same old story. Get a first down before you try to score a touchdown.
So Denver takes over on downs at their own 33-yard line. 13:06 to play.
Yeah, 54. Okay. Yeah. Down. 80. What's that?
We'll start it with the fake to Freeman. Throwing over the middle, and the catch is made at midfield. And down to the 45-yard line goes Jake Butt, second-year tight end from Michigan.
Denver does a good job. They run their draw fake, and when they run their draw off, a real delayed package, opening the tight up right down the middle.
Well, and the thing is Butt was lined up in the backfield, so he came from that fullback position and sneaked right through the middle and down the middle of the field. So after that play fake or that draw fake that you mentioned, Coach, that's what allowed that to take place.
55.
22-yard pickup.
Yeah, 55. Express. Now, set.
Again, under pressure, the ball comes loose. And it's ruled an incomplete pass. Rashad Melvin coming in off the corner. And a good job by Keenum just getting rid of it.
Yeah, it's amazing coming from his right side that he didn't see this blitz coming until the very end. He obviously was glued downfield on something because he never saw that corner blitz.
I was thinking the same thing you were, Coach. I'm like, does he not see it?
I can see if
he was dialed
backside.
in, right? He was dialed in.
55.
2nd and 10.
One down. Lady, what's that?
This is Lindsey. Lindsey, little running room. Up the middle, squeezes inside the 40, fights his way to the 38. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Well, here we are, 2-down territory again. I think if you're the Broncos, the fact that you're trailing by 9, you've got it in kind of no man's land here. You've got 2 downs to get this first down.
And down on the turf is Tahir Whitehead, the veteran linebacker out of Temple. They'll look at him. We'll take a break.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the NFL. Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV.
Welcome back, everyone. Philip Lindsay in the backfield, 3rd and 3.
What's that?
And Keenum going to keep it and run for the first down to the 30-yard line.
Great job by Casey. He saw the blitz, and the safety ran right past him, kept the ball on the read option, and got a big first down for him. Raiders have blitzed about every down in the last 6 downs.
Tahir Whitehead, by the way, walked off the field under his own power, went into the medical tent on the Raiders side of the field. This is Lindsey. And Lindsey for 2. Clock continues to move as we come up on 11 minutes to play here in the 4th.
Well, the Broncos staying with this up tempo, trying to, as you see, the Raiders trying to change personnel, getting in and off, on and off the field, trying to stay with that up tempo to get them winded.
On 2nd and 8, Keenum with time, throwing just short of the 20-yard line, and the catch is made there by Jeff Hireman, the tight end. Melanie Collins from downstairs says that Tahir Whitehead out of the medical tent, back onto the field.
Yeah, I was looking for them the Broncos to go to Lindsey right there with those older linebackers in the game one-on-one, and he took the coverage completely off that curl route on the backside.
Brandon McManus wondering if he may be called on to deliver a field goal. 3rd and 1. Freeman dodges one tackle, goes to the outside, gets the first down.
Well, Bruce Irvin's going to be sick on this one. He's untouched coming off the edge. He's one-on-one with Freeman in the backfield. Watch as he comes off the edge. He's got him. Freeman just gives him a little stick move to the inside and bounces around the edge.
Derek Johnson couldn't catch him.
First down at the 15-yard line. Keenum throwing to the 5. Caught by Emmanuel Sanders. That'll be 1st and goal inside the 5-yard line. We have a flag down.
Holding, offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Holding call on the center, Matt Paradis.
Well, the crazy thing about it, Coach, is that there's no reason for it. It's a bootleg. It's going opposite where he's going. So right here in the middle of your screen, it's going to be, they're going that way. They're going to the left. There's no factor in the play.
Yeah, I mean, to torque a guy to the ground right there is ridiculous. I mean, that's a bad penalty. You're down on the 5-yard line, going to go in, and now you're back with a 1st and 20. That's just horrible football.
55 down.
1st and 20 from the 25.
Lady, what's that?
Keenum looking over the middle. That's complete. And inside the 15 to the 14 to 13 is Andy Janovich, the fullback.
Well, that's all the Raiders were trying to do. They had the double safeties in there. I thought they were going to check to the run or the draw there when I first saw his action in the backfield, but you take a quick look upfield, and just like Keenum did, take a quick look and dump it off.
Yeah, check down is going to get you 10. You got half of it back. Now you're back in manageable down and distances. You need to get at least 5 here.
Yeah.
2nd and 10. We'll give it to Lindsey. Lindsey spinning to the 5, and that should be enough for a 1st and goal.
Coach, I've been impressed with both of these rookie backs. I know that Lindsey now is going to be over 100 yards after that carry, but Freeman with the earlier juke move on Irvin to get the 1st down on 3rd down, and Lindsey's just been productive, slashing, making decisions quickly, and then he just bursts through the line.
This ball has been spotted just shy of the 5, so it'll be 3rd and inches. And there is Lindsey.
Curtis Monkins, the running back coach, has done a great job getting 2 rookies ready to play this early in the season.
Go!
Lindsey has the 1st down. He's going to be marked down at the 4, but it'll be 1st and goal.
Happiest guy right now is Matt Paradis. that holding call in, because now they're back to where they were. 1st and goal from the 4 before that penalty on holding that he had earlier.
That blood showing is going to be a whole lot easier.
Keenum outside, incomplete, misfired with Hireman. It'll be 2nd and goal. Philip Lindsey, incidentally, 13 carries, 105 yards, and a little pushing and shoving between 2 friendly AFC West rivals.
Again, if either one of those guys get a penalty right there, it's going to be rough on the sideline.
Well, if that ends up being on Irving, he's thrown out of the game. That would be his 2nd, because he got his 1st earlier by yelling at the official and got the unsportsmanlike. So if he gets one there after the play is over, he's ejected.
He comes to the sideline, 2nd and goal.
Oh, good job by Case Keenum getting everybody lined up right here.
Monday. Lady, what's that?
Lindsey to the 1. That's Eric Harris with the stop.
And, Coach, the reason why it was so important for Keenum to get everybody set is because you had multiple people moving. If all of a sudden the ball snapped and they're not set for a full second, or you have 2 guys moving at a time, that's why you heard him. You heard him. He said, you've got to get set, and he waited that 1 count. He called it on a Monday, so it was going to be on 1 because he knew everybody was going to wait.
He knew he had a rookie in there, Deshaun Hamilton. You get set for sure.
3rd and goal.
Lady, what's that?
Freeman, airborne, didn't get there.
Well, here we go, 4th down. They're going to go for it.
Yeah, quick decision right here. Coach Joseph is going for it. No.
No, you would not go for it.
I would not go for this. I'd get the 3 points. Get this in a 1-score game.
Even inside the 1, Coach.
Yeah, I know. That'd be hard for me to do, too.
I don't know.
I'd have to have something I love. I have to love this play.
Right.
Philip Lindsay in the backfield. Lindsay now in motion. Keenum going to keep it, go for the end zone, he gets there.
That's not one I call till December, Trent. I don't put my quarterback in there until December on the quarterback draw.
Yeah, that's an injury waiting to happen, right? But they got it done. They produced. They empty the backfield. They have Lindsey shift to the slot. So watch, the back's going to go up here. He's going to shift. So that expands what the defense is trying to do. Keenum's going to get the snap. He's going to take 1 step back. He'd get his eyes upfield, and then he just burrows down and goes right behind the interior part of that offensive line, and he gets low. He makes sure that ball gets across that end zone. Doesn't feel good on the back of Paradis, on the back of his legs, as you watch him go low.
That's what he gets for that penalty.
Right. Well, fortunately, hopefully he's not hurt because both his legs got rolled up on.
McManus for the extra point. That would pull the Broncos to it in 2.
I think Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles have made it popular to go for it on 4th down.
Well, this scoring play is still being reviewed, apparently, at the goal line. If we could see a knee, if it went down or not.
Well, his knee may be down, but the contact, when does he have contact? When the knee is down and when the ball, where the ball is. I think it's across the plane, but we've had a couple today that I've been wrong on. So
I wouldn't consider himself giving himself up here.
Right. There's that new giving himself up rule. That's right.
I don't think he was giving himself up.
No. You may be wondering what we're talking about, giving himself up. They have the enforcing a rule with the quarterback. Instead of just when you slide feet first, you're giving yourself up. You can also give yourself up when you're going head first. But you've also, when it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, you're at the goal line. There's got to be some common sense used as well as part of the rule.
The ruling on the field stands as called. It is a touchdown.
And John Hussey is back in the good graces of the Denver fans.
Well, at least it didn't have to involve a catch, so I was right on that one. We didn't have to worry about the catch rule and possession.
17 Broncos points if this one is good on 3 second-half drives. And it's perfect. Just under 6 minutes to play in the 4th. It's a 2-point game. Watching the NFL on CBS. Case Keenum's 1-yard touchdown run. The cap on a 67-yard drive that brings the Broncos to within 2 of the Raiders. 19-17, 5:58 to play.
Yeah, great job overcoming that penalty and getting that ball in the end zone by the Broncos.
Ball sails through the end zone. And it'll come out to the 25-yard line. Saturday, the best game from the best conference. The SEC on CBS features Texas A&M taking on the number 1 team in the nation, Alabama, led by quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. A potential Heisman candidate looks to keep Bama's 20-game home win streak alive. College football today brings you all the news around the country beginning at 3 Eastern time on CBS. The betting line here in the booth was that I wouldn't get through Ty Tagovailoa.
Oh, yeah. You got it, brother.
All right, let's see if they do another Marshawn Lynch run to the right or to the left, cutting back.
Lynch to the near side, trying to cut back. Pursuit got him at the 25 for no gain.
And the reason I said that, Coach, they've had success with running him on first down, getting an 8-9-yard chunk.
Yeah, with a zone play. I mean, that was a delayed handoff counter play. Took way too. Denver's got too much speed to run that on. They're going to catch up to that stuff. Let him get a full head of steam and get downhill. And they can't take their foot off the pedal here. They got to keep pounding this, moving the ball up and down the field as far as pass, run, pass. I wouldn't be surprised to get Marshawn on a play action here.
Like you saw it there, Denver has dominated time of possession here in the second half. 2nd and 9. Carr on the slant. That's complete to Seth Roberts for a first down. Across the 35 to the 36-yard line.
That's what happens when you're the Broncos. You bring pressure, then that leaves that inside area open, and just with Roberts lined up on the outside, they just change release. He gets a quick slant to the middle of the field, and Carr is able to get another completion in there.
Yeah, the stack formation, that corner's got to get inside. He can't, with no help inside, he's got to force him back outside, not give him that easy throw.
Carr now 26 for 29 throwing today for 267 yards and a touchdown. Play clock down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. He got the snap off. The give is to Lynch.
Oh, that's their last timeout, isn't it?
Yes,
so they used the timeout before the snap, and it is their last timeout.
Well, that could be huge down the stretch.
And final charge timeout. Oakland. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Update time in New York. Once again, back to JV and Coach.
Jacksonville with speed.
Yeah, Blake Bortles' 4th touchdown pass of the day. This one's 61 yards to D.D. Westbrook. He takes it, gets some blocks, and the speed takes over. 61 yards. Jacksonville goes up now on New England, 31-13 in the 4th.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
So for all those people who thought that the run by Jacksonville last year was a farce, didn't look like it.
I can tell you this, that's a quarterback's favorite friend. You throw a 5-yard pass to get a 61-yard touchdown.
Yes, indeed.
First down, Oakland. Their own 36. Lynch again. As the Raiders look to keep the clock moving, he pounds it out to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, they went back to the bread and butter and got the big fella going downhill. Safety hit him, but he's just going to carry him for 4 yards, and that's what you're looking for right now. Positive runs of 4 yards, and then he'll break one longer.
Well, and that's the thing. Talking to the Broncos, the one thing they said, you can't tackle Marshawn Lynch high. You got to try and get his legs. That time they tried tackling around the shoulders. He just flipped them off and got 4 yards.
2nd and 6. Carr going to go deep down the far sideline. It is. Penalty markers fly as the catch is made.
Be interesting who they call this on because they both pushed each other.
That's an interesting call. They said if both are battling, if they're both hand fighting back and forth, they're not going to make any call.
Amari Cooper, the intended receiver, Bradley Roby, was right with him. Here's the call.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 by each team. Pass interference, defense, number 29. Offensive pass interference, number 89. Those penalties are offset. Replay 2nd down.
You guys are smiling.
Oh, that's the easy way out, man. That is the easy way out. Somebody's got to be at fault.
Well, there's the push-off by Cooper at the end. There was a There was a push earlier in the route, about 15 yards upfield, so.
And the flag wasn't thrown then.
But based on what we saw in the replay, that was the right thing. Just let it wash, go back over, do the down again, because you could have called it either way.
2nd and 6.
Blue end. What's up?
They're throwing, and the catch is made. Is that enough for first down? Right at the first down marker is Martavis Bryant.
A really good job by Derek Carr. He was looking for Jared Cook on a little pick in the flat. Martavis ran the stick route and barely got his head around the time because that ball was on the money real fast.
Yeah, that is enough for a first down, by the way, so it's a new set of downs.
Well, now you have to start considering, if you're the Broncos, when you see you have 2 timeouts left, you have a 2-minute warning coming up. Well, they lost the timeout earlier by losing a challenge. Now they through the red flag again. You know, they end up missing this, and that'll be that second timeout.
The spot of the ball.
The spot of the ball, you're going to win 1 out of 20. And
Denver is challenging the ruling on the field of the spot as it relates to the first down.
So let's see if he reaches that unofficial line on our screen.
Looks like it needs to go back about half a yard, but that's going to bring up 3rd and half a yard.
Problem is New York doesn't have that yellow line when they're looking at it and reviewing this thing, and very seldom will they ever change a spot.
And for a half of yard, is it worth risking losing that timeout?
Right.
I don't think so. I think right now that puts them in a 1 timeout situation with a 2-minute warning. Denver only needs, Oakland only needs 2 first downs.
I don't know about you, Greg, but I heard some frustration in Coach's voice when he said, very seldom do they overturn a spot of a ball. That's not,
I learned my lesson.
That could be a therapy session coming about maybe some challenges of spots that he's had over the years.
It's like reading a recent history book.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think I won 1 out of 20.
He even had to sit down when he started talking about the spot. He's like, oh boy, challenging the spot. On the replay, it looks like he's going to be about half a yard shorter. It'd be about the 45.5 yard line, so it maybe move it back a couple feet, but we'll find out as we take another look at the line.
He needs the 46 for a first down.
Knees down, contact is made. The ball looks like in the left arm, so.
So the conversation continues to go. Vance Joseph, a very interested party.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner was down by contact, short of the line to gain. Please put 3:45 on the game clock, please. 3:45, and it'll be 3rd down.
Greg,
They have no more challenges remaining.
Can you help me? We have to pick Coach up off the floor after that spot challenge is just changed.
I mean, you're talking about when he rolled over, it could have been 4 inches. So yeah, I don't.
Probably most importantly, is Denver did not lose a timeout.
Well, now it's going to be 3rd and less than a yard. They've got to come up with a big stop here. Force a 4th down. Use one of those timeouts if they so choose, because you have the 2-minute warning coming up as well.
John Gruden strongly disagrees.
But first thing first, you have to get a stop here on 3rd and short. Last time they brought Feliciano in, the extra offensive lineman as a tight end. They brought in a fullback. They didn't do that this time. Got 3 tight ends in the ballgame.
Watch up top, Martavis Bryant, 1-on-1. Safety's cheating though.
Lynch. Where is the spot? Raiders think they got it. Broncos think they didn't.
This all depends on which guy gets the spot, because the guy on the Broncos is short, the guy on the Raiders giving it to him.
That's exactly right. The official on this side of the field had him short. The official on the other side of the field had it. Looks like made it. Wow.
Jon Gruden is beside himself with these spots.
Well, based on where it is on the field, it looks like they're going to make it. Because that ball is past the 46-yard line.
Yeah, and the referee on the bottom had him at like the 45 and a half a yard short.
First down.
I think Coach Gruden talked him into that one.
Well, there he is. He's short. Once again, Denver telling us you have to tackle the legs. You can't tackle up high. Watch the teammates come in and start pushing the pile.
Now Denver's got to start using their timeouts now.
Well, and they have no challenges left, so they can't challenge that spot.
They have 2 timeouts and 3:10 on the clock with the clock running.
Good. Son, blue item. Son.
On the ground once again, Lynch. Lynch fights his way through the line of scrimmage across midfield and down to about the 48 of the Broncos. And here's the timeout called to stop the clock at 2:55.
Trent, I don't know if there's a better back in 4-minute offense, and then when you're trying to run out the clock, than Marshawn Lynch. He gets contacted for about a half-yard gain and gains 6.
His power is tremendous. His balance is tremendous. Just keeps those legs churning.
That's amazing because his initial foot quickness is amazing for a big man. He can jump, cut, and then get that thing going north, and he is hard to bring down.
How about Jon Gruden over on the sideline? This first win since he's been back, he can almost taste it. But, you know, like most coaches, they're on edge this time of the game, and this is short of the lead.
Yeah, he does not want to punt this ball to Denver, that's for sure, because, you know, McManus can make it from 60 to 62.
2nd and 4. Lynch. Penalty marker down on the far side.
Full start. Offense, number 87. 5-yard penalty. First down. Excuse me.
That penalty on the tight end, Jared Cook.
Clock operator, please set the game clock to 2:55, please.
Well, I think the penalty is he wasn't set. He's not set. You got to be set a full second. Watch, he's putting his hand down when the ball snapped. It wasn't because he was moving forward. It's because he wasn't set. He took too long to get himself set. Now, Derek Carr has to look around and make sure everybody's set for a second. So you can blame that on both guys.
Yeah, he went on a quick count expecting his guys to get up and get down, and he was just lazy getting down.
2nd and 9. Doug Martin is in the backfield now for the Raiders. Martin looking for a hole, none there. Domata Peko plugging the gap. And Denver uses its 3rd and final timeout. Gives us a chance to tell you tonight on CBS Begins with 60 Minutes and a look inside the American laboratory where our future is being invented. Followed by a new Big Brother and back-to-back episodes of NCIS Los Angeles tonight. Only CBS. Seems like every other play is a big one. 3rd and 8 for Oakland. They are out of timeouts. Oakland is out of timeouts.
Looks like the Broncos are going man-to-man across the board.
On the slant to midfield and no further. Martavis Bryant made the catch, but he was hit immediately by Bradley Roby.
Well, and by being a quick throw and being a quick tackle, the Raiders now are going to have to punt the ball before the 2-minute warning hits.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, they had off coverage to run that quick slant. It didn't look like it had to have a side adjustment because of a blitz. They just had a quick slant on. Like you said, Trent, they're going to have to punt the ball now before the 2-minute warning.
Adam Jones is deep. Pac-Man has 5 career punt return touchdowns. Johnny Townsend, the rookie punter. Bounces it at the 2 and goes into the end zone for the touchback. 2-minute warning comes at 1:58 on the clock. 19-17 Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, enjoyed by Giant Blue fictional knights everywhere.
We are back at Broncos Stadium at Mile High. The story on Case Keenum and his game-winning drives late in games or overtime.
56, wait!
The idea is to give that man a chance. Brandon McManus with a career long of 57 yards, field goals. Keenum running out of time. Penalty marker is down. He's hit from behind. Arden Key, the rookie defensive end, made the hit. Let's check the flag.
I don't know about you, Coach, but there's a lot of time there. So I'm more getting the ball out of your hands. He held onto that ball a long time. I know they're trying to get a big chunk of yardage up the field, but with 2 minutes, go ahead and utilize the middle of the field. Go ahead and take that 10, 12, 15-yard gain in the middle of the field. Everybody can get up there and get a play snap. Plenty of time.
Even a completion of 5, a check down 5 to 7 yards. Get it going, get it moving.
Holding offense, number 72. Penalties half the distance to the goal. First down.
The penalty is on Denver's terrific left tackle, Garrett Bowles.
Interesting to see if the Raiders just play soft going or if they start pressuring.
1st and 20. Pass incomplete. Broken up by Rashad Melvin, intended for Demarius Thomas. It'll be 2nd and 20.
Well, and Paul Gunther that time, defensive coordinator for the Raiders, decides to rush 5, go man-to-man, and have a safety free in the middle of the field. Kind of a risky call there, considering you can throw a fade, you can throw a slant, 1 missed tackle, and it's a big chunk. So mixing things up.
Really good job by Rashad Melvin playing press man-to-man.
Remember, both teams out of timeouts. Keenum throwing out to the 30-yard line, and that is complete to Emmanuel Sanders for a first down.
Well, and that's the key there, Greg. Enough for a first down. Still plenty of time. You can get up on the line and don't need to spike it. Call a play.
1.5 to play.
Yeah, they caught him in cover 2 and the old sail route down the middle by Emmanuel Sanders.
Keenum throwing this side of the field, incomplete. Intended for Demarius Thomas, who wants a flag on the play. Covered by Rashad Melvin.
I think that's a good no call right there, Melvin. They're both hand fighting. Don't judge the game right now by officiating a ticky-tack play.
Well, and the fact that they're both hand fighting, but the fact Melvin at the end got his head around and put his arm up to try and knock it away, as opposed to just tugging at the body of Thomas.
I like the matchup of Emmanuel Sanders in the slot up top versus man-to-man.
Keenum with time, throwing, going across the middle is Jake Butt, the tight end, and he fights his way to the 45-yard line. That's another first down, 1:10, and the clock is ticking.
Well, once again, the key there is the first down. By stopping and reversing field, breaking that first tackle and getting to the sticks.
Yeah, they only need 15 yards, so here comes the pressure.
Keenum throws outside, tipped and incomplete. Intended for Cortland Sutton. That'll stop the clock with 54 seconds to play.
Well, and the Raiders were lucky there. Conley was the only man stuck to that side of the field. He had a corner route behind him and a flat route in front of him. He was in no man's land, and because of that pressure, Keenum tried throwing it to the flat. Ball got tipped up in the air. That was if it just waited a tick longer, maybe could have got that corner route to Sanders.
The Raiders ran a zone blitz, and I think the defensive end on the other side forgot to drop.
2nd and 10. Keenum pulls it down on the move. midfield, hit there, falls forward to the 48-yard line. 45 seconds and counting.
Got to run a play. It's third down. You can't spike it.
That was a bad decision to run that football. You're losing almost 20 seconds right now to getting set up. Sutton doesn't realize he's got to get set up.
Half a minute to play. Keenum to this side of the field, complete and out of bounds at the 45-yard line to Hireman.
Well, the Broncos are lucky because the left two receivers had no clue what the play was.
Well, with 22 seconds, you've got the first down now, so you can still use the middle of the field to try and pick up an extra 5 or 10 yards. The Broncos sideline is looking for a hit. His feet are still in bounds. He hasn't established himself out of bounds. I know they're looking for the flag. That's not a penalty, as much as the sideline wants to argue about it. But back to the play now. They can use the middle of the field here still. They can get that quick slant, quick out, whatever it may be. Plenty of time to go up and spike the ball before attempting the field goal. So
Raider pass rush is gassed right now. They need the blitz to get there. Here they come.
Keenum throwing this side of the field, in and out of the arms of Demaryius Thomas.
Well, that's huge. That's 3 drops today by an all-pro wide receiver. That's inexcusable right there. That's the game winner. Thank goodness they still have 18 seconds. I think, Trent, they can still go down the field 10 yards in the middle of the field and get this ball killed for the field goal. More than 10 yards would be risking it to get it killed. But they only need about 8 for an easy field goal.
59! Hey, Terry! That's that!
Keenum throwing far side. That is complete. First down yardage for Tim Patrick and more. Down the sideline and out of bounds.
I got a little worried when I saw him working to the middle of the field because I said, you take up too much time, you can't get everybody up there and spike it.
Yeah, when he took off running, this is a young receiver mistake. He's trying to score a touchdown. Get down, get the ball killed. He got lucky and got out of bounds. A heck of a block by the wide receiver on the left to get him out of bounds.
Brandon McManus on the field to attempt what would be a game-winning field goal from 36 yards out, well within his range.
The play clock was down to 9 seconds, and they just reset it back to 25.
It's good.
By no means was that a perfect drive by Case Keenum. There were a couple of mistakes made during, but I love the way he kept his poise, even on that crucial third down, making the accurate throws as McManus comes up with a huge kick with 6 seconds to go.
Yeah, I was surprised the Raiders didn't blitz sooner because the front four was dead. They were gassed, and they started pressuring way too late. But a great drive by Case Keenum. He's a winner. That's all you can say about the guy. He's a winner. I think Coach Gruden might want to be back in the box right now. I mean, that's tough. He's had 2 tough losses, but that one is going to be really hard on the Raiders.
Well, think about Case Keenum's introduction to the Broncos fans. Both games here at home. Last week against Seattle, fourth quarter, he drives him down, puts a pinpoint pass in the front corner to Demaryius Thomas for the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now, 2-minute drive gets him in field goal range. Obviously still 6 seconds left, but it looks like they're going to get away with another win today.
13 straight points on the board by the Denver Broncos. And a penalty mark was down.
I can tell you, Trent, this is tear your guts out time for a coach. You guys played your tails off all day, and you lose a game right at the end. It's really hard.
On the receiving team, they didn't have enough players inside the box. Denver has elected to decline that penalty. The ball placed at the 25-yard line. First down.
So the penalty was for a bad formation for the Raiders receiving. It's been declined, and the Raiders at their own 25-yard line, 6 seconds on the clock.
Well, as you said, this is gut-wrenching for the Raiders. Came in with a good game plan. Got the ball out of Derek Carr's hands quickly. Very efficient day for him. Only sacked once on the day.
Little flip over the middle. Coming to the near side is Amari Cooper. And Cooper out of bounds short of the 40, but this game is over.
As you said, Coach, it's gut-wrenching for a team to be leading the entire time, the type of production that they had, and to come away with another loss.
Over 2 seasons, that's a 5th straight loss for the Raiders. The final, Denver 20, Oakland 19, tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, followed by Big Brother and back-to-back episodes of NCIS Los Angeles. For Trent, for Bruce, for Melanie, for all of us here in Denver, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Denver. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.